We have got ourselves a fun little slate lined up for tonight in daily fantasy baseball. Some good pitchers available, some solid stacks, maybe some under-the-radar stacks as well. So let's dive on in and get you set for this Monday slate. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to take your questions live on air for the next half hour to get you set for tonight's slate of daily fantasy baseball. As always, no matter where you are watching, you can get your questions in. We'll take them live here on the air. To get you set for this slate, we'll take them via YouTube in the chat section, also on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. No matter where you're watching, get those questions in. Also, make sure you are subscribed on your platform of choice. And we are here live each and every weekday at 4 p.m. We have these MLB streams this week, PGAs tomorrow at 3:30 to get you set for the Tour Championship. And beginning next week on Wednesday, NFL streams weekdays at 4 p.m. as well. So a lot of good stuff going on here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Let's start things off here by talking to Savan over on YouTube. Hello, Savan. He is asking thoughts on a Philadelphia stack with Toronto. Love Toronto. Think they're a tremendous stack for today. The concern I have around the Phillies is pretty tough offense right now with Rhys Hoskins being out. That's definitely a downgrade for them. But also Josiah Gray's not bad. He has a 26% strikeout rate this year across the 6 starts he has made. So this does include the one outing with Los Angeles where he came on as a bulk reliever. The 6 starts, 26% strikeout rate. I think he's pretty good. He does let up a lot of fly balls, so there is some dinger upside in the Phillies. Maybe you want to go with like a Bryce Harper one-off, but in terms of stacking, they're a little bit tougher for me as a result of that. Savannah is asking for the best stacks for single entry. I think that the Red Sox are up there because I view them as being a team that's likely to be a bit overlooked relative to where they should be, because Luis Patino is a guy we hold in high regard for very good reason. He's a very good pitcher. I think the long-term expectations for Patino should be very good, but for right now, still struggling a bit, letting up fly balls, letting up some hard contact as well, not getting a ton of strikeouts. So I think that the Red Sox are a really good single entry stack for today, Savan. I wouldn't mind the Rays as well on the other side of that game as being a good single entry stack that may go overlooked. I see Ian Nev over on Twitch agrees the Rays are a good stack for today. We're on the same page. Like to hear it. We'll see how they do for today. Savan, one more here. Best value picks for hitters. I want to see if the Blue Jays lineup is out yet because that could dictate part of this. See if we get Dickerson in there, see if Alejandro Kirk is in there. I'm guessing the lineup's not out yet because they're waiting on George Springer because he may be activated for today. So not going to have that lineup, I would assume, until probably after we're done with the show for today. That one may be a bit later. I think that we could get some value via the Red Sox, depending where Jarren Duran and Travis Shaw wind up batting. I think they might be up there. Otherwise, Dickerson, Lourdes Gurriel's a bit under salary too. Those are probably the primary ones I'd be turning to for value today. Also, Tommy Pham and Will Myers, depending on what the Padres lineup looks like, versus Tyler Gilbert. Michael on YouTube, I know you didn't mention Marquez this morning, but do you have any interest in him in a great matchup versus Texas? Michael, great spot there because it is a great matchup for him. Marquez, a very good pitcher as well. See here, a 3.28 skill interactive ERA. The concern for me is pitch count. I'm kind of worried that the Rockies may scale Marquez back now that there is nothing really for them to play for. And you've kind of seen that in the pitch counts a bit recently. Past 4 starts for Marquez, 76, 81, 83, and 49 pitches. That's a pretty big concern for me. Facing a DH today, that's not as big of a concern. For me, it's really more so about the pitch count for Marquez. They have nothing to play for. Could be trying to conserve him for next year. So I think he's an option, Michael. So talented. Great matchup, as you said. My big concern here is regarding pitch count with Marquez. Let's talk to Jackie. Hello, Jackie. Welcome back. Which pitchers would be the best to stack against for today? So I love stacking the Jays here, facing Chris Ellis. Ellis, a guy without a big sample, does look like, based on his minor league numbers, we can feel good stacking against him. So like the Jays against Ellis. I like the Padres versus Tyler Gilbert. He did no-hit them like a week ago, which seems not ideal, but the underlying numbers for Gilbert, not as impressive across his 3 starts. So the Padres a great stack for me. I do like the Red Sox quite a bit against Patino. More of a tournament-only stack because Patino is very talented, and it's not a great park, but I didn't think they work out well there. The Yankees, pretty good in a bullpen game against Los Angeles, and then the Rays as well. So those are the top 5 stacks for me. Going to be the Blue Jays. I forgot my train of thought. Blue Jays, Padres, Red Sox, Rays, and Yankees top stacks for today. Let's talk to Jerry. Do you think Ray will do well? Also, you guys pray for my city who just went through a hurricane. Jerry, hopefully you're okay. Hope everything's okay there. That's awful. But yeah, best thoughts out to Jerry and everyone in Louisiana, because that is a scary situation. Hope you're doing okay. Jerry, do you think Ray will do well? I do like him a lot. Robbie Ray, tremendous pitcher, a lot of strikeouts. Facing an Orioles team that I think is a bit underrated, but also not a team we need to avoid necessarily. Ray, 32% strikeout rate over his past 6 starts, more sliders. Also helped his batted ball suppression increase. So I think that Ray, my favorite pitcher for tournaments for today, for single entry, or should say for cash games, I prefer Zach Wheeler. I'm in a best ball contest. Just decided to lock now. The final person entered while I was on the stream. So be doing a best ball contest on the side here. That's very exciting. Love the timing on that part. Danny, what are your 2 stacks for single entry with Ray as your pitcher? So if we're going to Ray, that means we need to find some lower salary guys. I think we can get that via Boston, depending what the lineup looks like. Again, Duran and Shaw are the kind of the guys I'd be turning to there. And I think that Boston is a good stack for single entry. So, because I think they'll go overlooked. So to me, you're looking at Shaw, Duran, Verdugo. You should be able to get Schwarber very easily with Ray. Other team that would work with the Red Sox and with Ray, I probably would want to get to the Blue Jays. So you're checking out where Lourdes Gurriel is, checking out where Alejandro Kirk is, checking out Corey Dickerson. I do think that the Blue Jays are a team to turn to there. So to me, I think the Blue Jays and the Red Sox, 2 really good teams for single entry. DJ, thoughts on using Pivetta, Garcia, Marquez, or Urias? Among those options, my favorite is Luis Garcia. Similar to Marquez, does have some pitch count concerns, but he's been so good that it hasn't really mattered. He's gone over 50 FanDuel points 3 times in his past 7 starts because he's getting tons of strikeouts. 32% strikeout rate over his past 8 starts with his cutter usage being up. That's a really dirty number. He's facing a team that does strike out. Now, the Mariners are not a bad offense. I want to make that abundantly clear. So they're not a bad offense, but they are one we can use pitchers against because they do strike out 25% of the time. So I would say that that Garcia, my favorite there. Again, Marquez concerned about pitch count there. Pivetta concerned about effectiveness. Urias, tough matchup, also a lower strikeout rate recently. So that's the reason I'd be highest on Garcia there. Let's see here. Let's talk to Scott over on Facebook. Got to make this best ball pick quick. Let's go with Zeke. There we go. Great timing on this best ball. What do you think about a Diamondback stack? Diamondback stack tonight to go along with the Red Sox in single entry. So you're looking at Chris Paddack there, and Scott, I get it. Paddack is a guy I'd be willing to use guys against. A 48% hard hit rate allowed for him recently. Got a 21% strikeout rate. It's definitely not ideal. He also, believe he didn't have a rehab start. Yeah, no rehab start for Paddack. Missed about a month, so it's probably going to be Paddack followed by a bullpen game for the Padres. I don't hate it, Scott. I think that you could definitely get there. The problem is that the Diamondbacks are really, really bad. So personally, Scott, I won't be getting there. And it's because of the Diamondbacks more so than it is about Paddack. But I think that it's not the worst idea in the world. I think you could definitely see a path to a good day there because Paddack is coming out the IL and because we're in a situation where probably not expecting Paddack to go super deep on that one. Let's go to Dan. Dan says, hey, Jim. Hello, Dan. How about the Reds? They have a high number for today. Reds are not on the FanDuel main slate because that game is starting at 6:40. It may be on over on other ones. I would mention, Dan, that the weather for that game looks pretty rough. So I would check out what Kevin Roth of RotoGrinder says with regards to the weather for that game, because it didn't look good this morning. So check out the weather there. If you get the all clear on the weather, I think they do work out okay. They're not the best team in the league versus lefties, but, Stevenson, Castellanos, those guys definitely work. I still like Eugenio Suarez a decent amount. So if you are playing on a slate where the Reds are on there, I think that they could work against John Lester. Lester's a guy I'm very willing to target, just not on the main slate for FanDuel for today. So I've not done a full deep dive on Lester myself. So full disclosure on that one. Let's talk to DJ. Thoughts on stacking Arizona, considering how the Padres have been as of late. Again, talked about that before. This is before DJ asked this. Scott had the same question before. I think the thought process is good. Just worried about the offense overall. So I would not talk you out of it. Just a little bit lower as a result of those things. Let's talk to Savon. Any bad weather for today? The one I was concerned about initially was that Phillies and Nationals game, but upon further review, it looks like we should be okay. It looks like the weather rolling in there a bit later for Washington and Philly, so we should be good to go there. And I think that we should feel okay about stacking on that one. Savon also asked about stacking Arizona and Los Angeles. Later clarified that was the Angels, not the Dodgers. Again, Arizona, don't mind the spot, just worried about the offense. Maybe like some one-offs there, like a Dalton Varsho if he plays for today. I could see that working out pretty well. He's actually batting 7th. So I could see Varsho being fine. I don't mind Ketel Marte. So like for one-offs, Marte, Varsho, those guys are okay, but just tough to get to a full stack given how bad they've been. But I think the thought process is fine. As far as the Angels go, facing Corey Kluber, I don't see the pitch counts in him and his rehab starts. He's gone 45 and 60. So Kluber's probably going around 60 pitches for tonight. Let's check out how he looked in his 2 rehab starts just to see what the effectiveness was for him in that time. Yeah, 65 to 75 pitches for that start, kind of as expected. Toggle on minor leagues. Okay, so in his rehab starts, let's actually go over here and go to minor leagues. Okay, so he's made 2 rehab starts recently. Both those were in Double-A. Didn't look great. So I wouldn't hate it, Savon. We'll see if Shohei Ohtani's able to go. If he's not, I would definitely be a little bit more worried. But if he's good to go, I could see the Angels. I'm not super jazzed to get there because Kluber in general is good, but didn't look great in those 2 rehab starts. So I think that that's okay. Danny, your favorite punt play for the main as far as a value player goes? I've talked about him a couple times in passing, but Alejandro Kirk is pretty interesting. $2,100, pretty good fly ball rate. He may not play because they're facing a righty, but if he does get in there, I could definitely feel pretty good about him. So keep an eye on the Blue Jays lineup. Kirk is someone I think is actually pretty in play for tomorrow too against lefty. He should be in there for sure. But if he winds up playing, I think that Kirk is going to be a pretty solid option for today. Let's make this best ball pick quick. We'll go DK Metcalf. Okay, DJ. Actually, let's go down to Jackie. Castellanos going yard today, probably facing John Lester if that game plays. I think that Castellanos is always a good bet versus a lefty, or something tragic is happening. Castellanos, a bet to go yard. That is just how he works, apparently. Savon, how would you stack New York? And would Zach as the ZP or as the starting pitcher? Okay, so the Angels are probably going to the bullpen game for today. I don't think anything that we've seen there changes. I think it's Kyle Tyler is his name, the guy who will be the bulk pitcher for today. It's a weird name. Kyle Tyler, 2 first names. But I would bet that it's still going to be a bullpen game here for the Angels. Not a pitcher we need to avoid. So I think that you just kind of play the best hitters, which sounds stupid. But to me, it's Savon that says, get Giancarlo Stanton. Try to get some other guys there. Let's see what the projected lineup looks like for the Yankees for today. Luke Voigt at $3,200 is not bad. Gary Sanchez has been in a pretty rough slump here recently. Hasn't really come out of it yet. Not showing a ton of power right now. Let's see what Urshela has done since he came back. Maybe we can get jazzed about him. Okay, so we got 4 games back. Not a whole lot there. Let's check out what Urshela has done from a batted ball perspective since he came back. See if we can feel more excited about that. And let's go down here. Okay. StatCast. Urshela, since coming back, 2 hard hit balls and 10 balls in play. I don't know. I would say try to stick to the main guys, Savant. I can't really talk myself into Urshela. Sanchez in a pretty bad slump. So like Luke Voigt might be the main guy. Turn to there. If let's see here. if Odor's in there, I'd feel okay about him as well. And John also asked, how do you stack the Yankees for today? Same thing there, John. Trying to stick with the main guys. Just look at the best overall hitters in that lineup, regardless lefty-righty, given that it is likely a bullpen game for today. DJ, how would you stack the Brewers against the Giants with a Yankee stack and Jake Meyers of the Astros? So let's check out the Brewers here. The Brewers are facing Johnny Cueto. Cueto's been okay, but I don't think he's been good enough where we can just totally write off, consider stacking against him here. I probably wouldn't be super high there, given that the park factor is pretty rough, given some of the other circumstances there. I'm just not, super itchy to load up on this team, but I do think that they're at least viable, I would say. So if you decided to stack the Brewers, I would say Luis Urias tends to be a pretty good guy from a value perspective because he can hit both righties and lefties, tends to hit around sixth or so. Willie Adames, I found myself using quite a bit, actually, just because the salary never gets as high as it should be. So again, the Brewers not super high on my list, but I am okay potentially getting there. Christian Yelich has shown more power recently, so I would try to get there. So Adames, Narvaez, Tella's pretty good, Urias as well. But I would try to get to Yelich. I'm more okay with him now than I have been pretty much this entire year. Properici over on Twitch says, can't just anyone with two first names. Yeah, Kyle Tyler, Ricky Bobby, the list goes on. Absolutely. Good instincts there by Properici over on Twitch. Let's talk to Savant. He says, I'm going to stack Texas, Arizona, and the Angels today. I must be crazy. I'd be wary of Texas. Marquez really, really good. I know I talked about the low pitch count, but he's really good. So when he's out there, they're going to struggle. So I'd be very wary of Texas on that list. Let's go down to Jerry here. How do you feel about a Dodgers stack? Okay, let's check out the Dodgers here. Facing Drew Smyly. Smyly's been a lot better recently than he was earlier on this year. He's had 10 starts with more curveballs, and the batted ball data has gotten a lot better. 36% hard hit rate in that time with a 35% fly ball rate. Strikeouts are okay. With that said, though, he has not been infallible. The Dodgers are very good. So I don't think they're very high on my list, Jared. I'd put them behind the five we discussed before, but I think that they'd at least be in consideration for me. I'm not going to get to them personally, but I think that they're okay. And if your process led you there, Jerry, I would not talk you out of them because Smiley's not infallible and they're very good, but they're not in the top of my list for today. As far as the other options we've not discussed yet, as we can get some more questions here via YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter, Robbie Ray, to me, definitely someone for tournaments who I do like a lot. I think that he's a top guy there. For cash games, I want Zach Wheeler in that plus matchup. Face the Nationals, just a low power team. So if you want safety, if that's the way you play things, Zach Wheeler is your guy. Super high floor, good ceiling too. So I would still use Wheeler for tournaments. I just prefer Robbie Ray over there. If you want a low salary guy, talked a bit about Luis Garcia before. He'd be my favorite option there. I think that Corbin Burns is a consideration. I just worry about him potentially getting piggybacked at some point to save him for October. I worry about that matchup. He's on the road. So that's why I prefer Ray and Wheeler over him. Let's go back to the questions and talk to DJ over on Facebook asking about a Brave stack. Facing Urias really good at suppressing hard contact. This is over his past 9 starts with more curveballs. He has let up just a 25% hard hit rate. That is too low for me to stack against. So not super into the Braves, despite the fact they've got a lot of really good hitters, against lefties specifically, just not quite enough power against Urias for me to feel super great there. Brad is asking for the top 3 stacks for today. Okay, so we have, I think that the 2 obvious ones are the Blue Jays and the Blue Jays and the Padres might not be obvious given that Gilbert did no hit them, but I think that to me, they are going to be a good option. So to me, I really do like the Blue Jays and the Padres. The third stack is tournament only, Brad, but I do like the Red Sox a lot facing Patino. We got a comment from Mike over on YouTube. Patino struggles more with righties when going by batting average and slugging percentage. Can we go to Xander Bogaerts? So let's talk about them, kind of stemming off of the Red Sox discussion. Let's actually pull up Patino's numbers here, the platoon splits, because platoon splits are tricky in small samples because they do force us to kind of decide which numbers do we want to buy into, which ones should we be a bit more worried about. So I do want to pull up the actual numbers here on him and see what he's done. especially because Patino has a smaller sample overall. He's been up and down a bit this year. Okay, so versus lefties, strikeout rate goes down to 14% with a 17% walk rate, more strikeouts versus righties. Batted ball data also skews a bit more towards lefties. So I'd favor lefties pretty heavily versus Patino here. That means Kyle Schwarber. That means Alex Verdugo. That means Travis Shaw if he gets in there, Jarren Duran if he's in there. So I would say, Mike, favor the lefties against Patino down in Tampa Bay. Also worth noting that the lefties get a bump leaving Fenway. I know Fenway's a better park in general, but Fenway's a tough park to hit dingers for lefties. So Rafael Devers, Kyle Schwarber, Alex Verdugo, Jarren Duran, Travis Shaw, all those guys, to me at least, do deserve a bit of a bump up as a result of not being in Fenway. So I do like the Red Sox quite a bit. Ian Nev is asking about a travel effect on the Blue Jays. Yeah, that game is up in Toronto for today. So they did have to travel across the border. That could affect things for sure. I think the matchup should help cancel that out a bit, but I think that it's good to ask that question, Ian Nev, about the Blue Jays for today. Jerry, it's very odd that when we stack teams that are favorites seems to go the other way at times. Yeah, it's definitely like a tougher situation because baseball is a high variance sport, Jerry. Because, we can see things go a couple different ways. Pitchers can be volatile. Hitting especially can be very volatile. So we can see some things get pretty rough for sure. But I think that we need to account for that, especially when we can identify teams to be very popular for tournaments. We should feel okay deviating. We should feel okay trying to find under the radar type stacks. That's why I like the Red Sox for today. Because I think that it's a situation where I wouldn't expect a lot of people to be on them. And with how volatile baseball can be, it's possible the Blue Jays could fall short, possible some other teams could fall short too. So I am open to try to be a bit different and checking out what we can do in terms of being different. I do think that the Red Sox grade out pretty well in that regard. Let's go over to Jackie. I need one solid win this week to have some money for football. Yeah, I got to build up the bankroll before we get into football season just around the corner. Dinger Tuesdays tomorrow, Jackie. Maybe that can help out. So we'll see how that goes there. Some time to build that bankroll back up before football season begins. Let's talk to Danny over on Facebook. Who are your favorite 4 Boston bats in a stack? Let's see if the lineup is out here yet, because that could help us out a little bit here. I've got a good idea of where I want to go, but it does depend a bit on where Duran hits. No lineup yet for the Red Sox. So let's put Robbie Ray in here, so I kind of know what we're working with from a salary perspective. 30-13 left. Let's go over to the Red Sox here. My ideal situation, Danny, is that we get Duran batting leadoff. Because if we get that, we could use him as a value play. But let's just pretend for a second that he's in there. Let's go with Duran leadoff. Shaw. Let's go Schwarber. And let's go at Devers. If we do that, we're at 28.50 left. That is definitely doable, I think, as long as your second stack is lower salaried. So I would say this is the prime 4 I'd want to get to, Danny. If Duran's not playing for whatever reason, I think we could bump up to Verdugo. It's going to make it a tighter squeeze, but still doable. $2,700. You get like a Dickerson type guy in there, a Kirk in there. You can make that work. So I would start with these 4 guys, or Duran if he wants a batting leadoff over Verdugo. But I think that these are the lefties are the main building blocks for a Red Sox stack for today. Okay, we got DJ's home run calls. DJ has Austin Riley facing Urias, Pavin Smith facing off with Paddock, and Odubel Herrera facing off with Josiah Gray. DJ, I've got no real pushback there. I think those are all pretty solid picks. I think that one works. DJ also does want to stack Philly. Again, the reason I'm not super in there is because I think that Gray's a good pitcher, should get some strikeouts. Worried about that offense with no Hoskins, but fine for one-offs, specifically Harper. I think that is the one guy you would want to turn to. Herrera can hit home runs, so that's why I'm not stacking them personally, is because the offense kind of sluggish, and I think that Josiah Gray, pretty talented. Jerry, is there any weather concerns other than here in Mississippi and Louisiana, which doesn't have MLB teams aside the Mississippi Braves? Yeah, the crossover there is very good. The Braves just in general in the Southeast, especially I lived in Minnesota, Jerry, and I'd watch the Braves every Sunday because they were the first game that started each Sunday, but they were on TNT. So the Braves are a pretty national team. As far as weather concerns outside of the actual weather concerns for real life, we did have the the Phillies Nationals game, that one is looking actually okay. So for the main slate, no real weather concerns. If you are, I think it was Scott who was asking about the Reds before. Maybe it wasn't Scott. Someone was asking about the Reds game before. That game is an actual weather concern. That one could be an issue. I know DJ just mentioned that over on Facebook too. This one could be a concern. So if you're playing like the all-day slate or playing a slate that includes the 640 game, be wary of this one. But at least on FanDuel, the 640 game not on there, so that one is not a concern. Let's talk to Rob. Rob over on Facebook. How do you feel about a 3-3-2 stack with 3 Astros, 3 Brewers, and 2 Diamondbacks? The Astros are... Where are the Astros? Oh, there they go. Chris Flexen. Yeah, they beat up on Flexen. I think it was like a week ago or so. I don't tend to stack against Flexen just because he does a pretty good job of suppressing our contact. But hey, I mean, they just beat up on him last week. Bregman is back. So I think the Astros are okay, Rob. I think that I can get up behind that. Brewers facing off with Johnny Cueto. I'd probably try to find a higher power team somewhere in there, Rob, because the Diamondbacks not a big power team, nor are the Brewers in this specific matchup against Cueto, I should say. So I'd try to identify a team that has a bit more power. The Jays are in there. The Red Sox are in there. Even the Rays against Pivetta. I would say look for one of those teams. Look for a team that has a lot of pop and potentially target them, because I do think that things set up pretty well from a power perspective elsewhere, and I would want a bit more power in my lineup for those stacks. Jerry says his home run calls for today are Devers and Freeman. Rafael Devers, I think, is a tremendous call, Jerry. I had Kyle Schwarber as my home run call this morning on the solo shot, but I think that Devers was like the 1B consideration there. So I love the Devers call. I'll adore it. I think he's going to be tremendous today. I want to get there, even if it does mean I have to stretch myself elsewhere. Freddie Freeman going up against Urias. Freeman can hit lefties too. So, Jerry, I like those for sure. Savon's home run calls. Okay, we got Aaron Judge, Fernando Tatis, Yordan Alvarez. Man is on fire. Yeah, Alvarez has been awesome. Have benefited from his greatness recently, so I like that one. Love the Judge call. I would go Stanton over Judge personally. That's because I have Stanton on a season. I hate season long. I despise season long, but got a season-long team that's kind of good right now, so I need some more Stanton homers, need some more Gallo homers. So I'm going to root for them over Judge, but we'll root for Judge a bit too to get Savon that home run. And then Savon also says Salvador Perez has been on fire lately. He's been on fire the whole year. I think he has 38 home runs, something stupid like that. He's so good. I love Salvador Perez. DJ, would you play Luplo against Pivetta? I don't like Luplo at all. I just don't know if he can ever get to 20 FanDuel points. Let's see if he's done it. Let's see if the recent game logs for Luplo get us there. Has he scored 20? Oh, he just scored it yesterday. Idiot. Gosh, I'm stupid. Sorry, DJ. He scored 20 literally yesterday. Who is the dummy with the left side now? It's me. Okay, so I still don't want to use him, but hey, at least he made me look stupid, so that's good for him. At least we got that going for us. Let's go with Odell Beckham in this best ball draft. Okay. Ian Nev, MLB 7 slate today. Yeah, we're playing the 7 o'clock slate for today over on FanDuel. I think it's a good one. I like the way that things set up for Robbie Ray, for Zach Wheeler, for Luis Garcia, and I do think that we should be able to have enough value to squeeze it out for today. Do want to refresh one last time here. See if we get some Red Sox or the Rays, or the Rays or the Red Sox. Don't have them there. So no lineups to discuss, and that will Savon's asking how to stack San Diego. So it does depend on the lineup here, Savon. This is the final question we'll do for today. Does depend on who's in there, because with Tatis playing the outfield, that means that we're not guaranteed to get both Will Myers and Tommy Pham in there. If they do play, I will like them. So let's just pretend that they do play. I think that they should. I don't think the assumed lineup on FanDuel has Pham in there, but he should be in there. So we'll go with that. Probably going to settle for Machado. I don't think I can get to Tatis. He's maybe I would go to Tatis over Machado, but I think that's probably where we're sitting. If you want some value, maybe go with Austin Nola. Can make that work. But I would start with Pham and Myers and then go from there. Final one, Scott, home run calls. Cedric Mullins, love him. He's so good. So underappreciated too. Cedric Mullins, we need to give him more respect. Odubel Herrera, Rafael Devers, and then Marte. I think that Devers is going deep. I know I said Schwarber. I'm going to stick with Schwarber, but if I could have a second home run call, I would go Devers. I love him for tonight. That is all that we have here for today on the FanDuel Live Q&A. But as always, we are back again tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Brandon Gandula going to take your questions over there to get you set for the Tour Championship, which tees off this weekend out at East Lake Golf Club. So swing back at 3:30. I'll be on with MLB at 4 p.m. If you have any questions for me, I am on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Joy Affleck, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Joy, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow for Dinger Tuesday. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.